Good evening and welcome back to Community Park 1.0 on Jurassic World Evolution 3. Today, Bingus Bungus asks for a horse stable for Gallimimus. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. As you can see right now, I've already sort of like found the height and hitbox areas of the Gallimimus using that little frame. So I could test how tall these buildings are for the Gallimimus to actually go in. However, I don't think they will go in because there'll be nothing really in there for them to go in there. But if they do, it'll just be a random nice moment to see them actually enter these little stables. So I've based it off a few different stables I've actually seen myself, and I'm just going to call this the Gallimimus Ranch. So I've built like the little rooms for them. I've made these little nice doors which looks like stable doors. Eventually I'm going to put the names on there. I'm going to pick 6 names for them and stick them on there. I know one of them is going to be Peanut. Like Gallimimus, you've always got to call one Peanut. Then I just come around adding like loads of little bits of details like lights, the wires to turn the lights on. There's a big space at the back. I wasn't too sure what to do with it, and I didn't really want to like make it into something. I did test if I could put like a viewing gallery there, but then it just looked weird because the viewing galleries are pretty large, so it didn't really fit in with the rest of the build. I couldn't really hide it in that well. I'm going to do 2 separate viewing building galleries anyways a little bit later on either side to see what that is. We go around trying to find like a little light switch as well. I ended up just using the little code thing, and I was like, oh, do I add buckets to the like gates, where you put the feed in? In the end I kind of opted against this because guests are going to be going to come into this building, and yes, Gallimimus are really tall, so those gates are really tall, so to the guests they will be very tiny if they ever do bother going in there. But again, it's one of those things where they won't go in there because there's nothing really in there for them to go in. I might try and hide a toilet later down the line in the back of the building just to get guests going in and out of here. It'd be kind of cool for them to like just see them like against the doors compared to the height of the Gallimimus. It'd be really interesting. I wanted a skylight on the roof as well to make sure there's like loads of natural light in there, considering the lights don't work during the day, they only work at night time, so I want to be able to see in there when I'm having a little nosy at the park. And then we add these little like what do you call it, a feed rack. I had to really think then. But yeah, this is going to be a feed rack where we're going to be putting the fake hay in there. Obviously, they don't eat from this. It's just kind of decoration. And I think it definitely adds to that stable kind of look. And it looks really good at the end. I love using like the little dead... it's like a dead plant, like... I can't remember the name of it at all. This one right here. It's really cool. Definitely it has... If it wasn't moving as much, it would definitely look the bit. But it does move around in the wind. I add one of those to each of the rooms as well, just because if they're locked in there at night, they're going to want their own food and water. There isn't any water bowls or anything like that looks suitable as a water bowl, I don't think, so I don't bother really adding them. I suppose I could have just put a bucket in each room, but if you've ever had like any kind of animal where you've decided to use a bucket of water without it being secured in the ground, it usually gets knocked over. And as well as trying to find something that looked like suitable bedding to put in these stables, but I couldn't really find something that I'd like the look of, so I just left it bare concrete and then went back to just doing the details on the outer building, the roof, the supports, and also the gates. I was like, at first, do I make my own gate? And I had a little nosy. I looked at it when I built this and I was like, I'm not too sure. I mean, it looks alright, but then I was like, oh, This actually looks proper decent for like a little stable gate for the outside bit. So yeah, I flipped it around just realising, oh yeah, there's a left and a right. I may as well do that and do it properly. And then they're kind of almost like saloon kind of like doors, the way they open. So I was like, oh, it's kind of like Western themed, stable theme, modern theme, all mixed into one big soup. So I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I was like, oh, how should I make the fence? In the end, I settled for this. I wanted it to be tall so the Gallimimus couldn't jump over it. Obviously, it's not a feature in the game, but you got to add a little bit of imagination, a little bit of storytelling to this. And yeah, it's definitely a nice look. It gives a very natural feeling. Definitely fits in really well with the rest of the vibe. And then I was just trying to fit in some viewing galleries where I wanted them, which I'll decorate up in just a bit to try and fit in with the the rest of the enclosure itself, because it's like, they are massive, but I still want guests to come to this part of the enclosure and see the Gallimimus. So I was like, oh, how would I do that? And then I just used the same fence as well all the way around, rather than like mixing it in with like a different fence or the habitat. I was like, oh, it kind of does add that like horse-like field. Eventually I do get rid of all the grass. I replace it all with sand, just because it's well, you can imagine with animals, it's easier to clean, there's less muck and whatnot. It's just adding stuff like that. You know, when you go to I think it's called, I can't remember the name of the paddock, but usually it's full of like sand and rubber tire chopped up into it. But yeah, this is the finished project at this point in time. I don't know if I'm going to add anything else to it, but I'm really happy with the way it looks. I will be adding it to the workshop, so if you want to add it to your zoos and do your own things and add whatever you want to it, you can do. I added like a little bit of enrichment here and there, like this bale round feeder in the back corner of the enclosure. There is food hidden under it, and I turned off no clips so they can get to the food under there. I just haven't had a chance to see them actually eat from there. Obviously this is inside the stables, which I'm really happy with. I went back and did like a red brick all the way around at the bottom, so it's kind of like the foundations, as it were. We also make this like really cool little barrel feeder that I've placed in one of the corners. I'm pretty sure I've got a clip of it coming up any moment. There it is. I was quite happy with that. So both like enrichment items are on the workshop as well. But anyways, that's it for me today. If you want to add anything to Community Park 1.0, let me know in the comments the kind of animal you'd like to see and the kind of enclosure you'd like to see in. Anyways, thank you for watching.
What's your story?